Welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Dave Marcinkowski on Christ, the third and final core value that we've been talking about. As we transition to today's final conversation on that, I hope you will hear the heart of our leadership, that we desire to be a company for people, for all people. And our belief in Christ leads us to be a community for others, no matter who you are. So, here we go.
We really want to attract anybody who wants to be a part of this journey that we're on, the story that we're writing. I like to say we're writing a story at Madera. And, it's open to anybody to grab the pen and write their version of that story or add to that story within the work we're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of it is we add these other organizations, opportunities abound.
Yeah.
We've opened up whole different doors that we weren't expecting to open, and now we can welcome in a whole different group, as well as our existing group can look at opportunities to be able to, hey, I'm going to adjust the story a little bit because I have something I want to offer here or there.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. I want to dive into this a little bit because I think you've hit some big things that make it, one, easy to join the story that you're talking about, and two, I think we almost need a little bit of a detox to some degree in our world right now, because I feel like you just see fighting over a lot of things sometimes. And it doesn't matter how big or small it is, just a lot of fighting. And so if you are a Christian and you are a Muslim or you are a Buddhist or Hindu or whatever comes, or even atheist, shared mission seemingly in this writing of story is where I feel like you're leading us, where we find that commonality a little bit. So what is Madera trying to do through this story of Jesus? What in Christ? What are we trying to accomplish?
Well, I think, if you're going to look at it at a very high level, macro level, we're trying to make a difference in this world. Okay. A positive, impactful difference in this world. We're not, we talked about it before in these other podcasts. You don't see profitability as one of our core values. And there's a lot of companies out there that we want to be successful and we want to make money. That's what happens by doing. We believe very strongly, if we do the right thing, if we are trying to make the world a better place, we will find success, and money will, and the profitability will follow. But we're not following profitability. We're following that higher purpose of doing good and trying to make a difference. Yeah. And for us, what we're working within today is the real estate industry. And for the longest time, it was buy apartments, fix them up, make the environment better for the residents that live there, and then look to sell them and kind of rinse, repeat. Where that is, as we've evolved as an organization, we started to challenge areas that we felt were doors opening for more opportunity for us to make a difference. So when we go off and we do something like we offer broadband solutions to our residents, okay? Somebody may ask me, really offering broadband solutions, that's Christ-like? And I'm going to go, absolutely it is. And here's how. Because we believe we're offering something that our residents need. In today's environment, with the way technology is going, the one common denominator you need high-speed internet in order to do all these things. So we want to offer that to them. We were able to go out and leverage our size and our expertise to be able to bring a superior product at a much less cost to our residents. So beautiful. The residents get what they need. They're paying, 50 to 60% of what their bill was before. It's on the day they move in. So there's a convenience level. No more time taking off work to get it turned on. No, it just works. It's there. No more filling out an application, going through a credit check fee, paying an extra deposit for a box or anything. We got all that covered. We said, what can we do to make our residents' lives easier? At the same time, we're able to create profitability from that. We're able to create a revenue stream for a property that didn't exist before. So the property owner, when I say property owner, people are going to go, you guys. Well, yeah, absolutely. But it's also our LP. It's our investors in that deal. And I will tell you, our investor pool isn't just a bunch of rich people. Our investor pool are people who, like a lot of us who are listening to this podcast, have just saved up money in order to invest. And now they've chosen us. They've trusted us with their money to be able to go and create a profit. So we can then give them back something. And we now help them, the residents happy, The investors are happy. Everybody in this, the cable company that we're working with or our own solution is happy. Quax is happy because we've created a profitable arm and we've made the world a better place by making this choice. That is Christ-like. We sat down as a group, and it wasn't just the partners or the leadership of the company. It was the area managers and conversations we had. The whole thing was around what can we do to help our residents out during this trying time. And we did some things. And again, we may have done them where we were trying to benefit both sides. So, hey, we'll give you $50 off your rent if you pay your rent, by the end of the month. So we're going to give them an extended period of time to pay their rent. And we're gonna give you a discount on your rent. And hopefully you use those dollars to go off and buy groceries or do what it is that you need to do. Some people are going to go, well, you should just give them $50 off and not have that hook in there. I'm like, no, it's got to work for everybody.
Sure.
Our community is bigger than just our residents, and we felt like we were going above and beyond. But then you start getting into the stories that you hear of our employees, during an incredible time, and the things that we were doing to go check on people, to deliver groceries, to do these things. That's our value Christ at work. And people are like, well, why can't you just say do the right thing as a value? That's not what we're talking about here. That's not powerful enough for us as an organization. Christ is that word.
Yeah, I like it. That's a good line. That's not powerful enough, because I think one of the things that makes Christ a core value for anybody is we don't want the glory. We want something bigger. We want Christ receiving glory for whatever we ended up doing, and kind of showing the world.
One of the debate, it is incredible the number of things that our folks, what we do for handing out food and working with nonprofits in DFW in Houston is incredible. I remember, our friends, the Siegel's son Luke, got in a horrific golf cart accident, and he needed to be moved to the Children's Hospital in Fort Worth. I put it out there, hey, can we do something? The partners are going to kick in and pay for an apartment. Can we help them get moved in? We had meal plans for them set up immediately. Char McCurdy, who worked for us in Casey, Char's gone, but the two of them came together, and the things that they did was absolutely incredible. And that was our value at work right there. I actually had an experience just about a week ago. I was having breakfast, and Jeff Lowry was with a guy, and I went over and said hi, and Jeff's like, well, and the guy stood up and he shook my hand and he started to tear up. And I'm like, hey man, what's going on? And he's like, well, my daughter had some sort of horrific disease or cancer, and she needed to go to MD Anderson in Houston. And I don't know if you know this, but your partner Gary helped us, along with Cody Boggs and some people in Houston, and got us set up the exact same way we did for Luke and the Seagulls. I had no idea that was going on.
Yeah. And
it's really important for you to know, and I want to make this known. These stories are happening over and over again. And you know who needs to hear them? We need to hear them internally. The fine line is that you're not going to see us go out and go pay a PR company to go make a newspaper article about us. We start doing stuff like that because of those kinds of things. No, we may do that to honor one of our employees who's gone above and beyond. We will definitely do it internally, but we don't want the glory for that. That's God's glory. That's not our glory.
Yeah.
And you're not going to see us to put that out there, because to me that's defying our values. That's making us more important, and that's not who we are.
Yeah, I like it. One of the things, and let's transition here, because I think this is another piece in this conversation. We've talked about residents, we've talked about investors. When you think about workplace culture, whether it's here at the Lubbock corporate office, or whether it is on the various properties, whether it's at our Frisco office or any of the places around here, when you see a company culture, an employee culture that kind of centers around Jesus, what's it like in the hallways? What's it like in the interactions? What are the meetings like? What would you envision, or what do you hope is going on in those places?
Well, and I've drank the Kool-Aid, so I have probably a lens that is looking for these things maybe more than others. But I feel like it's very liberating. People are, there's the freedom to express yourself if we're all working towards a common goal or a common purpose. That goes. I've been a part of conversations that have been, people have been very emotional and very upset about a choice that we've made, and they don't see how it lines up with our core values. kudos to them for having the courage to raise their hand and say, you know what, I got a problem here. Because that's also having a Christ-like value. It's not just sitting there and kumbaya, let's all be happy. It's also saying, hey, there's something about something that's going on that I don't like, and I want to understand it better.
Yeah.
Now, there's respect and there's ways of handling that, and our people do that. That's not a concern, But what is important is for us to have the freedom, the ability to get up and raise our hand and be a voice. Too many people sit in the shadows. I think a Christ value is stepping out from the shadows and having the courage to kind of raise your hand and say, hey, if we're about a higher purpose, let's go figure it out.
Yeah, I want to dig into a thought that you are at least alluding to, if not also kind of bringing to the forefront, and that is like the accountability piece, though, in the way that values guide us.
Yes.
And so while we want to be inclusive and we are going to be diverse and we're going to offer the individuality to this, like, from what I gather from you and from others who are leading our company, like, we're going to have a problem if you're not servant-hearted.
Yes.
Like, we're going to have a problem if you're not gracious in the way that you treat people.
Yes.
So talk me through a little bit of that as well, because it's not just, hey, you just be you. It's also, you need to be you, but there is a presence that we want to have on property, in the offices, and in places like that.
I think the first thing worth noting is we're all going to have different definitions of our values. So Christ means something different to me probably than to you. I think we're probably very close. We've had this conversation a number of times. There's a number of people who are listening to this who aren't going to have the same belief system or the same view of that value. But they can get comfortable with the idea of being gracious and hopeful and believing in something and wanting to make a difference. My argument is that's Christ too.
I want to ask you another piece of this, because we've been a little bit internally driven with this conversation, but I also want to think about kind of the ripple effect. I've had that conversation in the past of different things. When you think about Madera or Quext or Viva Bank or Viva First, or even Select Title, and you think about our impact in the Lubbock area, the DFW area, the Houston area, and beyond, all those other types of places. If Christ is sitting as one of these major core values for us, what do you want our surrounding communities to know of us? What do you want them to see in who we are in the community? Because you've said it's not just about words on the wall. It's about who we are and even just how we interact, whether it's the grocery store or a major decision amongst the C-level guys.
If we're following our values and we're living those values, our actions will be what speaks for Madera and these other companies. And actions speak far louder than words. And you should see us having an impact on the community that we touch and around us, to where it is just known that's who we are. This isn't something that, if we're doing it right, people just know and become to trust and believe in who we are as an organization. Examples, storytelling.
Okay.
Fort Worth, the Woodhaven market is a great example. That was an area that used to be sort of a gem of Fort Worth a long time ago. There's like a country club over there that was like one of the premier country clubs. They had like a ladies golf tournament there, and they went through a deep slide, and that area really became run down, terribly so. A lot of violent crime and different things like that. We end up buying, the majority of the apartment communities in that market. And we've won some awards, and that's great, But what the people of Woodhaven came to trust in Madera is we were making a difference in that community, and we turned that community around to where now it looks a whole lot more like it used to look. And that doesn't mean we went in there and were just like, the bad guys and kicked everybody out, and we just, we worked with everybody to try to make it a stronger community. And I think as people look at Madera and they look at our history, that's going to be a story that gets told. It's right now getting told. And kudos to Casey and Melissa and Christy and all the people who were with us back then, who helped us get to that point. It wasn't about just making a buck. It was about doing the right thing and helping bring a community back to life. And yes, we did profit from that, but that's okay. That's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
We didn't chase the profitability. We chased the opportunity to make a difference, and the profitability followed.
Yeah. Let me give you the last word here, and just kind of give us a little bit of just, I don't know, kind of What would you like to tell the employees who are listening? What would you like to tell the investors who are considering or have, continue this journey with us? What encouragement regarding values as a whole, and then maybe even more specifically Jesus Christ, what encouragement would you have for us?
I think I want to really harp on this purpose-driven life piece. We can go to work every day, we can make a paycheck, and then we can go home and be with our family and be happy and go through life that way. And that's fine. That's not who we are. And if you're that kind of person within our organization, my only challenge to you is like, look at what we're doing and look at the opportunities to present themselves to help people. And you give that old adage, you get far more than when you give, you get far more about yourself than what you gave to the person. That really is true. That's really what happens when it's being done right. And my hope and my prayer is for people to get excited about that and want to be a part of that journey with us. And you'll hear us talk about, I'll talk about my faith all the time, and I'll pray openly. I'll tell people, I'll tell you, it's kind of crazy. I'll tell friends of mine, hey man, I'm praying for you. And especially like back home, like I didn't grow up that way. So they're like, what do you mean you're going to pray for me? What's that even mean? Well, it means I'm actually, I have a relationship with God, and, I'm going to be thinking about you and praying about you and maybe some of the hardships that you're having. And prayers that were answered. Today happens to be, we're taping this on National Day of Prayer. Just happens to be that. We didn't plan that out. Yeah. But prayer works. Mm-hmm. And when you have a purpose-driven life, when you have the values that we have, you have this incredible canvas to go and write whatever kind of story, paint whatever picture that you want to paint, as long as it's really to help people ultimately. And I think that's what we're doing. And I think you're going to see us continue to do that. And I hope as we move forward this, we can have some really honest conversations about this and tell more stories. I mean, we've barely scratched the surface on the stories. I mean, that's why it's so important for these weekly updates in the newsletter and these videos and podcasts that we're showing. We want to interview and talk to those people. Again, not to like say, hey, look at us, but to share the possibilities with other people, to inspire them to maybe want to follow in those footsteps and say, you know what, I can do that too. And you know what, it feels really good to be a part of that. And hey, I'm making a difference in other people's lives. That's what I do when I work at this company.
Yeah, I think the story piece is huge. I love so much of what you said, and there's a quote, and I'm gonna. This is more of a summary of the bigger quote, but one of the authors says, who are we but the stories that we take in, and when we tell the great stories that you're talking about, and the beauty of this is, I've been kind of putting together these newsletters for our company. I'm getting more stories than we can put in right now.
That's exactly right.
Which speaks volumes about people gathering around this servant-hearted understanding of how we take care of others and what we do for others. Dave, I just really appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on here and having this conversation with us. Just to remind everybody again, this is Dave Marcinkowski, one of our founding partners from Madera. I'm Josh Haynes, the Director of Community Impact, and we hope you have a great day on this National Day of Prayer, and we hope that you are blessed by this conversation, that you're inspired by it, no matter what worldview you're coming from, that we are gathering around these values and finding a collective purpose. Give you the last word. Anything else you want to say?
No, I mean, honestly, I think you just did a really good job of kind of summarizing this whole thing out. For me, if I was to kind of put a bow on this, it would simply be to say, if you're not sure how this fits for you, ask the question. If you're really not sure, okay, I liked what Dave and Josh are talking about, but I don't quite get it. I don't know how it applies to me. Raise your hand. Yeah. Send me an email. Send Josh an email. Okay. And say, hey, help me understand this a little bit better. And it's not just you and me. You talk to your peers. Talk to other people and say, hey, if this even inspires that conversation with one person out there, this was this was an incredibly successful podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here's what we'll do. We will finish by putting your email and my email on this to make sure everybody knows they can send us this, like, hey, almost going back to what you said earlier, raise your hand, ask the question.
Yeah.
Ask us questions. If there's something you want to know about or chase further with the conversation, we will have that for you on the screen. You can shoot us that. You can shoot us that email anytime. We want to thank you guys so much for listening to us. Again, I want to thank Dave, and we hope you guys have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching and or listening wherever you were. I want to finish by reminding you about our Touch Base Town Hall. The entirety of this conversation with Dave Marcinkowski and Dave Gillis and maybe a few others is going to be about your questions, your thoughts, your concerns regarding our companies, the direction that we're headed, and all the things that are taking place. Please get me those questions as soon as you can. You can use the email that's going to be on the screen, and I will make sure that they get to leadership. This Touch Base Town Hall is going to be a capstone or a season finale of sorts, and so you're going to want to tune in. Thank you all again. Have a great day.